Well, hello, my name's Dr. John Osborne. I want to share a brief story of my life on what happened with my encounter with God Almighty. I was brought up on a council estate in the south of England, which was notorious for trouble, violence, crime, even murder. And I want to share my encounter with God Himself. Um, as a young boy, was growing up on this council estate. I was involved in fighting. From the age of 7, I started smoking cigarettes, and I nearly got expelled from school for that. Then, when I went to secondary school, I was involved in even more fighting and trouble each day. And then I started getting introduced to soft drugs. After I left school, I joined the Merchant Navy, and when I was in the Merchant Navy, I got introduced with even stronger drugs, uh, drugs like crack cocaine, marijuana, blues, purples, strawberries, magic mushrooms, and eventually my parent couldn't handle me, so I ended up getting a place of my own. And for a number of years, I lived rough on the streets. I used to sleep in train stations up and down the country. I lived in places like Toxteth, Liverpool, Newcastle, London, South London, all over the place. I would be running and have no hope in my heart. And then one day I asked my parents if I could come back for the weekend. When I came back there for that weekend, um, I said to my parents, I'm just going up to the pub to have a drink. While I was having a drink at that pub, a young woman took a liking to me, which was not new because it used to regularly be that case in my life. And then as I came out of the pub, I was jumped by a number of men, and all my ribs were kicked in, my head was cracked open, and I was lying in the gutter there. And while I was lying in the gutter, I heard an audible voice. And the audible voice says, John. So when I turned round, there was no one there. I thought, is this the drink? And I thought, well, I haven't had much to drink, really. And then the voice came back another 2 times. And then on the third time, I said, who are you? And the voice said, I'm Jesus, and I've got a miracle for the mess, and it's time to come out the mess. So I shook myself down, managed to go to my parents. My mum wiped the blood and helped me to get to sleep that night. And when I woke up the next day, it's like I'd never drunk before, I'd never smoked, and I'd never taken drugs. Just that one voice was able to turn my life around. When people cast me aside and said I was a menace to society, God Almighty reached down and touched my life. And that was 34 years ago. So I want to say to anyone that is watching this video, if God can turn my life around just with one voice and one statement, then He can turn your life around. Thank you for taking the time and watching this video, and God bless you.